Start recording. Another great session from Luca again this morning as well, going over the markets. I've been head deep in reading up on all this FTX stuff. You know, I sort of went in thinking I might have some sympathy, left feeling I have absolutely none. So a real pig's ear, which is impacting a lot of people, damaging a lot of people. So not a great time in the markets everywhere, but Cardano is our safe refuge. Definitely some sense going on here as opposed to elsewhere. Actually, one of the first things I wanted to share, which I'll drop into the chat, is a Twitter thread by one of the new decentralized exchanges, which is working towards launch on Cardano, called Axo Trade. They were previously called Maladex, they rebranded. And the founder has just written a really good Twitter thread on the importance of decentralization. And I think, that's the crux of all the issues that we're seeing in the fiat system with the impact that mostly COVID has had, but also the markets and the play that's been going on there in the last few years, the devastation we're seeing in crypto as a result of money diminishing in value and bad players rushing into the crypto space. This is a really good thread on thinking about the fundamentals again, getting back to why decentralization is the sort of the core tenet of where we need to head with this blockchain technology, because blockchain is revolutionary in that it gives us the ability to move our operations of everything from centralized into decentralized. So we can create this permissionless, trustless network that will actually bring decision making and activity together, shared activities, into a place that you're not then relying on representatives who aren't trusted, who you can't really make an impact on, like we've ended up with our voting system. Decentralization will transform so many areas of our lives that are just flawed fundamentally. As it's not our lives, it's our societies. So decentralization is a big thing we want to get after, and this Twitter threads really covers it well in terms of the wider blockchain industry, but primarily focusing on Cardano and how keeping decentralization as the goal within Cardano is a crucial thing. And so starting off with thinking about stake pools again, and then the importance of them. The stake pool runs the infrastructure for the blockchain. So a stake pool operator is charged with running the servers, the computers that are actually validating all the transaction on the blockchain, and they are incentivized to be good actors by the network itself. So every time we use the blockchain, every time we're putting transactions through on the blockchain, whether that's to store data or to commit financial transactions, we are paying for stake pool operators to run the network for us. And the way that the stake pool operators are incentivized is crucial. And at the moment, there's a very good decentralized group of operators on the Cardano blockchain, about 3,500 pools now operating. But the network parameters, which decide how those incentives work, are weighted towards 500. And it's been that way for a couple of years now. So the ideal number of stake pool operators is 500, whereas in reality we've got 3,500, which means that 2,500 of those aren't being incentivized to operate on the network. And the size and scale of the network now is large enough, I think, to be more fairly rewarding a larger number of operators. So the push by the community certainly and by the IOG Cardano Foundation has been towards getting the number of pools that are incentivized up to 1,000 as the sort of next step. So that will probably happen, I think, within the next year. And that parameter is called K, and when that changes to 1,000, it will mean that 1,000 pools are now incentivized sufficiently to be running. The threat to making that move now is that there's a large portion of saturated pools, and well, a small portion in terms of number of operators, but a large portion in terms of the amount of stake that they hold, that are operating at that sort of saturated level, which is 63 million ADA. So when a pool has 63 million ADA, that's when they hit saturation point, slowly rising. And at that point, then the incentives drop off sharply. So people are encouraged to move from that stake pool into another one, where there's room for growth, and you're then incentivizing someone else to be an operator on the network. And so what will happen at the moment is that the people at the top who've got several pools operating, they've saturated 63 million on one pool, so they've opened up another one, saturate another, and another, and another. And some people have got lots of pools. And the problem with just increasing the K parameter is that we incentivize 1,000 pools, and so those people at the top, instead of running the pools that they've got, they will double the number of pools that they run, and because the saturation point will drop to half of what it was before. So you increase K, the saturation level drops, so it'll jump from 63 million down to 31.5, 32 probably, with the rises. And so 1,000 pools will be incentivized, but whether we'll get actually that incentives flowing down to the smaller pools is up for debate, because the multi-pool operators don't really have an incentive to change how they operate. They might as well run just more multi-pools to keep the same number of people serving the same number of people. So we're looking, as academics, looking at ways to try and bring some parameter changes elsewhere, or changes to the network that will help that decrease of, or that increase of K, actually have the effect that we want it to have. But as a result of all that, there's all sorts of innovations going on in how to keep these 3,500 pools incentivized. And one of the big ways to do that is with other projects. So we've talked about Machiavellic in the past, which is a blockchain play to earn game that's being built out on Cardano, and they are running a initial stake pool offering. So for example, if you delegate to Fluid Pool, then you'll receive MAC tokens, which is their in-game currency, and that will have low value to begin with, but over time, as the game grows in success, then it could have worth and value down the road. So people are incentivized to stake with new pools or move from a multi-pool operator maybe to a single pool operator by some of these projects, offering their own incentives to people in the network that they appreciate. So Machiavellic selected some small stake pool operators to run their ISPO through, and so we got chosen to be one of those, which was awesome. And there are other incentives going on as well. So I'm working with the Gimbal Labs team, which is a very good education group birthed out of Catalyst, Project Catalyst, and they are very strong proponents of decentralization. Part of their operations build out the Dandelion network, which is a way to bring all the sort of endpoints of the blockchain down onto multiple operators' hardware, as opposed to at the moment where you've got a private company running the back end of the largest wallets. So Eternal and Nami and these guys are starting to run their own infrastructure, which is fine. But to date, most of them have used Blockfrost, which are a great company as well. But they were the one player that really had their act together to provide distributed hardware. And that is now changing. So there's Dandelion software, which is again open source, so anybody can pick it up and run the software and actually provide the APIs to the blockchain, and offer their own incentive mechanisms for running that. We've got the Gimbal Labs offering the token, which has got an ISPO that I'm helping organize. So Fluid 7's bonus tokens will be distributed through those, and we're going to be giving out gimbal tokens from the smart claims platform. The smart claims operators themselves are helping out small pool operators by and the wallet infrastructure by creating so they're operating DAO behind it's called Freeloaders, and they have the smart claims platform to do token distribution. And they also have Freeloaders also have a mechanism for stake pool operators or node operators to open up their submit API, which is the end point for the wallets to all talk through their pool. So now all the stake pool operators, for example, can actually provide network infrastructure for wallets as well as just providing the transaction verification, validation. Another project that's coming out recently that's starting to gain some traction is NewNet, and they are looking at providing decentralized hardware infrastructure to the chain as well, and they are looking at more than just sort of blockchain transactions. They're also looking at offering hardware processing resources, so that could be graphic production, 3D illustration, animation, all these sorts of activities that are taking place and will need to exist for example, the metaverse to really take off in a decentralized fashion. They're building that out. So we've got all these sort of decentralized projects starting to bubble up, starting to gain some attention and some traction, which is really good for the network, and a strong reason of why Cardano exists is because they've encouraged this. Okay, let's give it to lots of people, the power, lots of people, the resources to start building, start innovating, incentivize the voting community to decide which direction projects are built out in, and that drive towards decentralization is what will relieve us from centralized control, which is where you see the problems like we've had with FTX and in our government systems. But some of the facts that are going to come out of the FTX situation look truly awful. There seems to have been co-founders in this Alameda Research, which is the private company owned by the centralized exchange founders, and they were funding to the tune of millions of dollars, both the Democrat Party and the Republican Party in the US. So effectively buying the good favor of politicians, lobbying them on both sides, playing both sides of the game, just to get favorable outcomes for their centralized exchange. And the way that funding has happened seems to have been rooted through the war effort in Ukraine. So all sorts of shady dealings going on there. And this is all because of the centralizing powers that try and influence everything, guaranteeing everything that we do. So the decentralized alternative efforts are where you need to spend your time looking, evaluating, especially when you're looking at investing. Think about the future, think about what is going to give us the best outcome, both for personal independence, for financial autonomy, but also for growth and development and sustainable, not centrally controlled infrastructures. Because we know we've got this cycle of boom and bust, of aggregation of power and then misuse of power, and we see it in politics. We see it in the internet now with Web 2, as it was called, moved on from being a whole load of people just sharing information, writing blog posts, and it was kind of just a sea of information that nobody could really find anything in. Then Google came about and created this centralized search engine that then gave a portal into everything on the web. And off the back of that, they created this whole advertising mechanism so they could pay for it all. And then the advertisers started paying for our personal data so that they could target us with more marketing. And then that data ends up being used to manipulate us in social media platforms, because that advertising revenue moved over to social networks, and then that's used to influence votes, and major national decisions like Brexit, and really started to the social networks really started to impact on those, and whoever spent the money could then gain current influence over what people were seeing on their news feeds. And this is all because of centralizing forces. So if we can decentralize governance, decentralize voting power, decentralize our financial decision making, so that everybody actually has a voice and has a part, and no large central entity can influence it heavily, then we're the hope, the dream is that we'll end up with a much more stable and a less volatile society, and as well as finance system. And this thread goes through various bits. I might just pop it up on screen actually. Let me go for this. No, it's not going to let me share that. Again, probably because I rebuilt my house last night. Okay, I'm going to have to try logging in on this one and see if that works. Actually, I can just follow the link, can't I, from the chat that I just dropped in. So Axo Trade are a decentralized exchange. Oh no, that's not right, is it? Axo Trade are a decentralized exchange that are bringing brand new trader primitives to, well, the whole trading ecosystem really. So they'll have very innovative ways of creating your own effectively trading bots. So creating your own rules around buying, selling, creating, we're starting to learn about stop losses and things like that from the communities that we're in, the IAW community, and this will take it to the next level and actually be new tools for all traders everywhere. And I know Luke is starting to have a look at it as well. It's not launched yet, so there's nothing to actually play with, but there are white papers and so forth to read. Without decentralization, Cardano will die. And this is what their founder has put out as his latest thread. There's this great picture of so there's a story behind this picture even. So you've got Charles Hoskinson there talking about talking to the Cardano community, very frustrated with them, particularly with the stake pool operators, because he'd made the decision to push a new version of the Cardano node out, and a few stake pool operators and people associated with stake pool operators and teams building said, we don't want to do it yet. We haven't had enough testing time. We're not going to do it. And because particularly after the testnet tried this new node version and there was a failure of it, it broke. This is what a testnet's for. It's designed to break, because it's not designed to break, but it's designed to allow you to try things out before you try them on production. The clue's in the title. It's for testing, and we tested it and it broke. So everyone said, "Oh, let's slow down. Let's do some more time." And Charles Hoskinson was like, "No, we've got to push forward. Everything is tested. It's all done." And actually, there was a confusion. The guys who were complaining were talking about one thing, and Charles was thought we were talking about another thing. And so at this point, he's complaining that someone had said catastrophic failure and how it badly impacted the price of Cardano, and the that we're fighting battles against centralized forces and all this stuff. Anyway, great, funny video from Charles looking back on it now. But that's a great screenshot. It just shows him in his passionate self. But this is an illustration of decentralized versus centralized. This is the situation we have in most platforms at the moment. Everything comes back to a center point. That point has all the power, and that power eventually turns into abuse. Actually, if we're all decentralized, we're all interacting with anybody we want to in any way that we want to, then there's far less chances for power to aggregate, accumulate, and be abused. this then talks about stake pools and their role in the blockchain. So one of the big benefits of stake pools over and above anything else in the sort of proof of work world or the wider crypto space is that with a proof of stake network like Cardano, you're delegating the voting power that comes from your ADA holdings to an operator on the network. So you're showing that you trust this operator to run a good node, to validate transactions well, to stay online when he's supposed to be. And so you're moving around the weight of your ADA to make sure that the network stays healthy. And that sort of voting power, that staking power, doesn't lock up your ADA at any point. So you're taking control of your wallet, you're putting your ADA into it, only you then have the power to spend that ADA. And the staking mechanism on other networks will actually lock that token into that staking mechanism. So when you're earning stake from Binance, then your tokens are locked, and that's how they then accumulate money to then raise more money to then be able to operate as a business, which is fine as a business model, but it's not giving you autonomy over your own money. And so the staking network on Cardano actually lets you retain full control of your ADA. You can spend it at any time. There's no risk of losing any of your initial ADA or any of your rewards. And there's no, if you've heard of slashing on the Ethereum network, there's none of that on Cardano. And the power of the staking system stays purely in the hands of the individual. So it's fully decentralized, really well thought through, and designed to protect individual wallets and not aggregate power anywhere. So you can delegate to Fluid Pool. If I do something you don't like, you just move that delegation somewhere else, and within 5 days, I have none of your voting power anymore. It's all trust anymore. It's all gone to another pool, and that's the benefit of it. We can weed out bad actors. We can promote behavior that we like on the chain, so we can decide where, how decentralized it is. We don't have to listen to the largest influencers who then might abuse that power. We can actually make decisions just by where we stake our ADA. So choosing who you stake to is a very good thing. Like a couple of guys mentioned here, Smaug and Pool.pm. That's the really good blockchain explorer. He's pretty much a single operator. He built out that platform and runs a stake pool, and a lot of his funding comes from the stake pool. So you can delegate to him if you like Pool.pm, and you can delegate. You don't have to delegate all your ADA holdings. You can delegate just a portion, which again, a really good thing. This is CZ. He's a great guy. I like him a lot as a founder. He runs Binance, but again, that's a centralized exchange, and his behavior has been an influence in exposing the corruption that was within FTX. On the surface, he's done a good thing because he's weeded out another backed actor. But for him personally, he's just aggregating more power. So the fall of that exchange means that there's other ones that are falling as well, and he's going to pick up. So we were hearing he's probably going to pick up Voyager, which FTX previously was going to pick up. So this is, again, an example of centralizing power. It always accumulates. It always tends to gravitate towards the best players. That's what capitalism is about. But actually, if we have a decentralized network, a decentralized exchange as opposed to a centralized one, then we can have all the benefits and features of Binance, for example, but in a decentralized fashion. So no one entity controlling it. It's actually run on code that we've agreed on together, put live, and that's the standards that we then run on. Now, the centralized exchanges perform a very valuable service at the moment. They are helping us get our fiat currencies into the blockchain crypto world. So they're vital at the moment. We need them around. We need Binance to do well. We just don't want them to become far and above the largest player in the market, because that will just end up with too much power, ending up in problems again. So that's where we don't want to end up. And this talks about, well, so that's the way all monopolies end. Someone spits the lolly out, the dummy out, tips a pram over, and the game is over, and then we start again. And that's been the cycle with everything we've tried so far as a society, really, as a humanity. And this then starts to explain the multiple operations and how they are not bad actors, they're good actors, but they are, from their success, it leads to accumulation of power. And so all the guys have got saturated pretty much have ended up creating another pool, except for Conrad. Conrad's awesome. He's the guy who runs Ada Handle. He's got a saturated pool and swore he was going to be a single pool operator and has held to his word. So a really good example for people to look up to. And there's other guys out there who's done the same as well. Ray from Growpool, for example. So be in it for the technology, for what it can bring above and beyond the financial gains. But yeah, the thread goes on. Really good thing to look through, read through, entertaining on the way through it as well. So do have a look at that if you're thinking about feeling pained by what's going on in the markets. Then in my opinion, this is the salvation for us all in this space. It will really make an impact. It will make a difference to how successful we can be. Cool. So I do like to be. I don't like to monologue too much. I like to get involved, people to be talking and interacting, asking questions, and if there's something practical we can work out together, that's what I like to do as well. If you haven't spoken on my calls before, great to hear new voices. If you've got any questions at all, there are no stupid questions, and everybody is just on one point of the path of learning. So I'm very happy to talk about anything and everything throughout the whole gamut of crypto, blockchain. I'm only really good on answers about Cardano, but yeah, please do go for it. What we're working on at the moment.
Jonathan.
Hi, Utan.
Quick question regarding have you heard about Ventiswap?
Which swap?
Ventiswap, and apparently it's you can, just swapping it with other assets apparently with multiple network. So
okay, I hadn't heard of these guys. Is this on Cardano or is this Ethereum?
I just came across the news and I just thought about checking with you.
Oh, okay. What was the news? I didn't see that. Have they been in the news for something in particular?
Yeah, I was searching around regarding, came across Ventiswap and I thought like, did you?
Yeah, no, I don't know them. Probably because they don't have anything to do with Cardano, and I'm quite buried in Cardano. There's plenty for me to learn in there without looking elsewhere. So yeah, no, I don't know this platform. But yeah, non-custodial, cross-chain, decentralized exchange, no bridges. Looks like all good things to work towards. But I don't know. I'm guessing they're Ethereum. But yeah, I don't know them, so I can't really help out with that. Sorry. I've got some big partners there. So yeah, and they're based in Switzerland, which is where I wish I was currently, because the Cardano summit is on at Switzerland at the moment. Cool. Any? Yeah.
For this fund node, partner a few times, paid out on his involvement in it. We certainly didn't seem to have got any Cardano from it. Is there any way of checking it?
Yes. So if you want me to check for you now, you can just drop in your receive address from the wallet you used to vote, and I can figure it out from that. The alternative is that you go to Cardanoscan. And what you want to do is from your wallet, get up. I got eternal running. I do, yes. So you can go into your wallet, grab this stake key from the center of the screen, center of that dashboard, the summary page, and then you can go to Cardanoscan. Drop that into the search bar, and then down on the fourth tab, you've got this instantaneous rewards section, and from there you can see what rewards are being paid in, and those will have come from your voting power. So 6 months ago was Fund 8, 10 days ago was the rewards from Fund 9. Can you figure that out?
Thank you.
Or do you want me to have a go?
Yeah, no, I can do that. That's easy.
Cool.
I've written it all down. Thank you.
No worries. And yeah, that gives you a quick way of just getting to exactly what your rewards in. The other thing is that in Eternal Wallet, sometimes it'll tell you itself. I think it's probably just been updated with the correct detection of those fees. So if you look on your transactions list, was it here? I saw it. Oh dear. No, it was here, wasn't it? Yes. So actually, they've now started. So that's ADA in, and it's giving you a description of. Instead of the pool name that you're delegated to, it's actually telling you it was a Catalyst vote reward inbound. So you can look. This is like a list of all the rewards you've earned from the pool, and it'll actually tell you your Catalyst vote in there as well, which is very handy. That's a way you might even not need to go to Cardanoscan. Cardanoscan, I would say, is probably the strongest sort of authority, because wallet infrastructure has to update. It's serving a lot of customers. Sometimes they get blocked, they get congested, and things can slow down. Sometimes you're looking at cached information. Eternal seem to be very good at keeping up to date, but I have seen issues on other wallets in particular. And so in that case, Cardanoscan, going back to an actual blockchain explorer whose sole purpose is making sure that the data is accurate, is the surefire way of getting real results. That's his only job, so it's a good source. And Pool.pm is another blockchain explorer, but more of a graphical one. Cool.
Thank you.
No worries. Any other questions in and around Cardano? Anybody's got any questions on decentralization as well? I can always talk about that. And in fact, I'm on a panel of 5 stake pool operators at the London summit on Sunday. So if anybody's in London and wants to come along to the Cardano summit, we have one spare, I think, ticket at the moment, because it's at capacity, but I can get you in. And yeah, there'll be lots of talks on decentralization, the activity in and around the blockchain, and there'll be community projects to look at as well. There's a lot of creators coming along with sort of NFT haul, showing the things that they're up to. But yeah, I'll be able to paddle, being asked, interviewed around why we operate nodes. Yeah.
Jonathan, did you say it's on Sunday, Saturday or Sunday?
It's so the physical meetup in London is actually on Sunday, which I hadn't realised.
I see.
Are you available on Sunday?
I need to figure out the babysitter. If I could find it, then
You can maybe come along.
maybe I will do.
Okay.
Yeah, still got to manage that. Still haven't found any yet. So.
All right. Yeah, I know that problem. But yeah, that'd be very cool. Nice to have another day with you. So yeah, Sunday, doors open 11, or it might be, I think it might be 10:30 now, and it's in Houndsditch. It's at the same venue that we had the last, or the second to last IAW event, actually. 133 ETC venues, 133 Houndsditch, in Soho.
I think bringing a kids can be a bit of a challenge, I think. So yeah. I'll see if I could find someone. So I'll let you know in case.
Okay, cool. Yeah, keep me updated. That'd be cool. So yeah, how have people's activity been going on? Has anyone been looking at the exchanges, in the decentralized exchanges, and liquidity pools, yield farming, anything like that? Anybody been out evaluating hungry cows?
We're looking at Forex at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in Eric, which is again done a bit of a nosedive. It did a 20% stop loss, which wasn't to be expected, so that's been rebuilt. But we're also looking at the Hedgehog Fund.
Hedgehog.
Yeah, that's a PAM. So
Okay.
we're looking at the done for you opportunity on that one with Dave Clan.
Oh yeah, Dave's a great guy.
Yeah, he's very, very knowledgeable.
Yeah, very calm and measured.
Yeah.
Good questions.
There's another one, 18 as well. Did you also check that out?
Yeah.
Paul?
Yeah, I watched the presentation on that and wasn't impressed. That's basically there isn't a done for you option. You do the trading yourself, and you're paying basically, I think it was $149 a month.
Yeah.
So you're going to have, I think it's about, I worked it out 5,000 you have to have in it, but I think it works out about 2.5 to 3 you have to have in your fund to break even. That's getting a 70% or 70% win ratio. So no, I wasn't impressed with that.
So they're only getting 70% win ratio because it's done for you. Wow.
Yeah, they said up to 70% they win.
Right. Okay.
But that's a set fee every month. And so I think it started out with $239 for the initial month, and then it was 140 something for every month after that.
Yeah.
Then you had to have a minimum of $1,000 in it, which didn't cover it.
That's quite a commitment. Yeah. You're gonna want more of a
especially if you're doing it all.
Yeah.
So they had a trader in the background helping you out.
Right. Yeah, I haven't looked at Forex long enough to have a feel as to whether it's worth going into or not. Certainly, I like the idea, more and more like the idea of either copy trading or making use of a bot to do it rather than just.
Or you can do shadow trading as well. You can go between the between the exchanges and basically buy and sell between them. There's normally a markup there too.
Okay.
I think they call it shadow, I'm not sure. But yeah, so if you go onto Binance, they'll give you one rate for Cardano, and then if you go onto Kraken, they'll have another one. So you're buying and selling between the exchanges. That's another one you can do. But you have to be
Arbitrage.
quick.
Yeah, you have to be quick. Yes, that's arbitrage.
That's it, arbitrage.
Yeah. And again, yes, anything that's timely that needs my attention to actually be successful, I don't think it's probably going to work for me. So I'm just I'm not on it all the time. Got too much on my plate. But yeah, certainly I've been doing on Muesliswap. I've been doing this an NMKR ADA liquidity pool and yield farming, and that's been returning decent results. You get boosted with Hungry Cow, obviously, and that helps massively. But they just added a third, so they were just returning M yield before and NMKR, and now they've added in actually getting ADA back as well. So it's a very small portion of it all, but it's nice to actually get some foundational ADA back again as well, which is how I consider it. Yeah, and again,
I'm doing milk. I think I've got milk and ADA, and then clap and ADA as well. But the clap and ADA's not boosted by the little cow that I've got. But it's I don't think invested too much into that.
No, yeah, I didn't have enough clap to make it worthwhile for me. Now I've got some what's the project called? EMP token from Empower, which I really like as a project because they're building physical houses in Mozambique, and they've got their token EMP, and you can put that onto a liquidity pool, and then some rewards. And it's like the amount of EMP I got, I think, was about 258 or something, so a very small amount, and I'm getting like a pound a month out of it, which is fine. But just I like the idea of accruing more of these tokens that do have potential to turn into 10x down the road or whatever. So it's very little return now, but if it's just sort of got potential for the future, and it's supporting a project that I like, I don't mind that at all.
You made mention a couple of weeks ago about another one that was, I'm not sure if it was on where there was two separate tokens and one got burnt. Was it the SHEN? Was it SHEN or something? I can't remember what it was called. Shell? Oh, blimey.
Was that doing the? I talked about the. SHEN token. That was to do with the JED.
That's it.
Stablecoin. Yes. So that still hasn't launched. The COPI guys are building it out in collaboration with. So IOHK wrote the sort of technical spec for that stablecoin, and then COPI, which is an Israeli firm, they've built out their own blockchain, and they have their own token, and they run a fully KYC'd AML'd exchange of their own as well, and they deal in stable coins and that whole sort of trading space. So they were trusted then to actually implement IOG's design spec, and COPI is a algorithmic stablecoin. So instead of it being collateral stablecoin, where you basically a one-to-one collateralized stablecoin, where say it's like, for example, USDC, where they basically say we will have $1 sitting in the bank account for every USDC dollar crypto equivalent. and we'll hold those funds. So at any point in time, if you want to swap your USDC back for real dollars, you can just come to us and we'll make sure that happens. And yeah, those stable coins, I mean, they're the first ones that should be doing this proof of reserves stuff, and they do to a certain extent. In USDC seems to be better at it than USDT, but the JED stablecoins got a different sort of makeup. Instead of it being one-to-one backed with a coin in the fiat world, they're actually algorithmically backed. So they will hold other tokens and involve other tokens into that ecosystem to make sure that as the value of the stablecoin is pegged to the dollar, to the reserve currency, then the value of that token will be based on, and the backing for that token will be based on buying and selling of, or burning and minting of other tokens. And it's got this complex ecosystem. So it's going to involve Cardano, ADA. It will involve this new SHEN token, and it will have some kind of real world Oracle interaction with the oh dear, I've forgotten the Oracle they're using. Is it Chainlink? I think it's Chainlink. And so you'll have people being able to provide liquidity in ADA, people able to buy the SHEN liquidity as well, and that will be one that will be minted and burned. That'll be really volatile, and that's one sort of highest risk, but it will have the highest reward. And then you'll have the stablecoin itself, which will be this JED token, and I don't know the time for it actually, but soon is all they're saying. I've been saying for a while, and that will be coming out, and it should be the first sort of algorithmically backed stablecoin with full peer-reviewed academic papers behind it. So built out by parties that haven't got vested interest in each other to a huge extent, unlike, for example, Terra and the Luna. So yes, effectively you've got JED and SHEN and ADA being the equivalent of Terra and Luna, which was a massive flawed system in the end. So algorithmic stablecoins, there hasn't been one that's worked yet. This one holds a lot of hope, a lot of promise, but that will only be borne out in if it's seen a bull and bear market before we can really know if it's worth its salt. So it's not been participating in this market so far, so it's not launched yet. So we don't really know how it's going to do in a bear market, even if it launches now. It's probably just going to be on an upward trend, so it'll be fairly safe until there's another bear. But in the meantime, I'm sure there'll be lots of money made in and around it. So I'd be quite happy to hold some at some point. And of course, the people who are actually launching that token, COPI, they have their own token, COPI, as well, which is not a bad thing to hold. I think that them as a business will do well.
Another one I've been watching on Drip Drops, and I collected a couple of them, which is Cornucopia. That seems to have started taking off. That's starting to gain some value.
Yeah, so that was the arbitrage opportunity that I spoke about a couple of weeks ago, because they launched their token initially on Binance and then launched it on Cardano, and the price drifted apart between those two ecosystems, and then they built out, along with IOG and Chainport, the first bridge between Binance and Cardano, and so you could then move your COPI tokens from Binance onto Cardano, and because there was this price difference, it was much more valuable on Cardano. you were effectively selling, moving your tokens from one platform to another. And if you just bought them on Binance and then sold them on Cardano, you'd have been able to get a whole lot more for your money. In fact, the chain port process worked really smoothly. The tokens moved between platforms really rapidly, and the price mismatch rapidly evened out. And so since that point, the price has dropped on Cardano, but since that point, it's now started climbing back up again because Cornucopias is a great looking project with a lot of really keen minds in it, and they're delivering in terms of they've already got a playable game out of it, and they've had several NFT drops. They've built out their NFT distribution platform really well, and so they've got a lot of technology behind them that they've built themselves that they own, that just bodes really well for the game, which is kind of a metaverse game. And so yeah.
Do you know how you get airdrops from Cornucopia? Or Cornucopia, whatever.
I think you can pick up COPI tokens from drip drops now, and I think you probably get them for delegating to Fluid Pool as well. So if you wanted COPI, you can look for them on drip drops for airdrops of the actual COPI token. They have lots of incentives going around within their ecosystem, so you can get onto their Discord and keep an eye on it and see what opportunities pop up. They have mints, or they certainly were having mints quite regularly, and those NFTs post minting have actually done very well. Their land sale has happened already, so you can buy NFTs that will be exchangeable for land, or actually are land plots within the game, the new metaverse that they're creating, and those are tradable assets. So that's a good way to get involved. Yeah, COPI is a good thriving ecosystem, growing fast. Any other projects that we've talked about in the past you want an update on? See if I can got any latest news.
I don't want to talk about Cardanoscan because that's definitely going to the wall.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Did you manage to find it?
The site is crap. It's just really dropped off.
Did you manage to find an exchange that would get you out at all?
I think the one I'm mentioning to you about, which no one had heard of, someone wasn't looking. That was on me in case I lost any value at all.
Your mic's dropping out in and out a bit.
Oh,
sorry. You said you found one. You showed it to me, but I can't remember what it was called. Did that work out? Are you swapping mics here?
Is that any better, Jonathan?
Oh yeah, that's cool.
No, I've just basically sat on the tokens. Because it was, like I say, no one else came back to me and explained what or had heard of that site before, so I'll just sit on them.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and that's the approach with any of these things. They're all tiny. If they haven't got anything that's actually launched yet, that's the biggest opportunity, but the biggest risk as well. So it may fizzle out, never gain traction, never get anywhere. And at the moment, it looks like Cardanonia is sort of heading that way. But then on the other hand, you've got Machiavellic, who seem to be doing everything they're promising so far. That's one bit of work I've got to do. I've got to write a promo piece for the stake pool, because Machiavellic they're releasing them for each of the factions, and I think they're on the 8th at the moment. I need to get mine in. There's only 16 of us, I think, so I need to go and write that. But yeah, that'll be a nice bit of promotion for Fluid Pool as well, and that in combination with getting to talk about Fluid Pool on stage at the summit, London Summit on Sunday, should be good too. And I had another call with the Optim Finance guys last week. They've delayed their launch again, deferred it a little bit because they've completed 2 full audits, third-party audits, and they had some work to do following that second audit, and they actually then ended up saying, well, we want to have another audit after that, just to verify that the remediation work they've done after the second audit was actually worthwhile. So they've pushed it back for another couple of weeks again, but that will then launch certainly this side of Christmas, I believe, and we'll be able to get a liquidity bond for the stake pool of 1 million ADA, which will then put us into regular minting production. Because at the moment we're in a bit of a famine. It's been a while since we had a opportunity to mint a block, so we're holding out for increasing our stake before that happens. The more stake we have, the more regularly we mint blocks. However, it sort of evens out across the year because the less frequently you mint blocks, when you mint them, they're larger rewards, and when you're minting regularly, then it's smaller rewards for each. So it's designed to sort of even out over the year. But yeah, this is again all the sort of incentive mechanisms and parameters behind stake pool operation that are part of the Cardano improvement proposal process, which is management of the chain that goes on behind the scenes. Cool. Any more questions from anybody? Yeah.
Jonathan, this is a question regarding I think we had a brief discussion last week as well. You know, that is a project that we embarked on financing together. Something on, I think it's NMKR or Hungry Cow, something like that. So is it any progress you've done, or is it how soon we will be able to do?
Yeah, I talked about it right at the start of the call, briefly. So we've got Paul's up for joining us in it, but with the markets being so volatile this last week, and several of the opportunities that were involved in elsewhere pausing or going pear-shaped, we're just wanting to slow things down a bit, and so we'll just sit out of that. We probably won't dive into that just yet to any bigger extent, but yeah, I think it's definitely one to pick up. I'm in it with a portion of my funds already, so I'll be keeping an eye on it, see how it's performing while we're waiting to get in together, but I'll be able to feed that information back. But at the moment, yeah, I don't have more to put in, and I think it's probably just wise to see how things shake out over the next couple of weeks before we get into another opportunity.
Yeah, let us keep us updated. Yeah, great.
Maybe ask for ADA for Christmas.
Yeah, that might be a good thing to do. The platform that the Hungry Cows work on is the Muesliswap DEX. So you can see here, these are the pools that we're looking at, and it's this NMKR one that we're interested in. So they offer a 42% yield. So that's sort of, you buy the liquidity pool tokens, which is made up from 50% of your NMKR and 50% of ADA in terms of value. That goes put into the pool, and you get back a liquidity pool token, and then you can take that liquidity pool token and stake it in their yield farms, and that then, while it's in there, will accrue 42% APR. And then what we've got is this additional opportunity to use Hungry Cow NFTs, which have a percentage yield boost, anywhere between 10% and 90%. So we can add that onto this 42% on the NMKR pool, and so we'll be getting an even faster rate of accruing these NMKR tokens and M yield tokens. The NMKR token itself continues to do well. Can have a look at it in here. This is the Taptools Platform. That is the sort of trading view equivalent to for the Cardano space for native tokens on Cardano, because they're not really represented elsewhere in CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko yet, but you can get them and track them here. So looking at the NMKR charts, you can see their price action going back since they started being tracked. So actually it's not that long. I don't have more data. So yeah, it's 6 months now. And you can see price action is sort of very stable. So they didn't have a massive pump. I mean, this was the initial pump, but the way that they've designed their tokenomics is that they've kept very stable, which is really what you're looking for. You want a token that doesn't come in massively high and then drops off to nothing. You don't want it to so have lots of drops in it, but you do want it to, and massive volatility. You do want it to stay sort of roughly, and that would then indicate to me that it's got good fundamentals. It's got good adoption. The token value is always going to be subject to the larger ecosystem. So the price of ADA has dropped consistently, and yet this over this period, but this token, this NMKR token, has kept its value, which is a good indicator that it's going to do well long term. And at the moment, it's sort of sitting about 0.01 per ADA, and the rate of return on the exchanges, I think, I can't remember the value I put in on mine, but if we can get together, I don't know, 15,000 ADA, then we'll be getting, hundreds of pounds per month in value in NMKR token back. So it should be good to give us a decent return, a noticeable return. And we'll be accruing this token that has got a lot of potential for the future as well. And we get a bit of bonus ADA too. So not a bad deal.
Maybe give it, like you say, give it a couple of weeks, and then if things are settling down, let's jump into it.
Yeah, that sounds good. And I'm working through leasing equity from my property as well. So when that's in, I'll have a bit more present money to portion some out to my favorite token ADA and and some of these other ones as well. Good. Anybody got any last minute questions, or should we wrap it up for the day? If there's nothing more, we'll have the same thing again next Friday. And there's yes, it does. So yeah, we'll have the same thing again next Friday, and there is all the video history you can go back and pick up on any videos you missed and maybe want to catch up on. I'll drop the link to the Q&A playlist into the chat as well. If you are unfamiliar with Discord, where you found the voice channel, if you hover over the title of it, the Hangout, there's a little icon for opening up the chat if you can't see the chat already, and that chat is permanent, stays with this voice channel all the time, and that's where we tend to drop links that come up during these sessions. Bless you. So I dropped the link to the YouTube channel in there, and that's showing the last historical sessions of Cardano Q&A. We are slowly time stamping them and updating them with relevant keywords and tags so that you can find and search for the data and pull out particular topics of interest. And that channel is slowly getting some traction. So that's a good place to go and just find out on if you missed a session, what went on. Oh great, glad to help, Joe. Discord is a bit of a learning curve for everybody on it. Nobody seems to have nailed all the bells and whistles, but we're getting there. So yeah, there's the link to the playlist for all the Cardano Q&A sessions, and then we can actually go straight to Fluid7 handle now. We've got our YouTube handle, so if you're wanting a quick access just to the YouTube channel for Fluid7, Fluid7 is my web agency, out of which I'm running Fluid Pool, and we put all the Cardano Q&A videos onto that YouTube channel, and that pretty much is the only content that Fluid7 creates. So feel free to have a snoop around. The other video that you should find useful on the channel is the staking tutorial. And so if you're new to self-sovereign wallets, that means getting your money off the centralized exchanges, making sure that you're the only person that control or spend that ADA, that token. That's what self-sovereign wallets are all about, and that's when we're talking about Eternal or Nami or Giro or Flint wallet. All these guys are running self-sovereign wallets where you are the custodian of your own funds. It's not held in a bank. It's not held in a centralized exchange. Nobody can access those funds. You're controlling direct interactions with the blockchain, and that is the safest way of storing value that's ever existed, really. It's very difficult for someone to steal your ADA if you've got it in a self-sovereign wallet and you've done all the right things. So if you've got a hardware wallet in particular, that makes you, really, really in control of your money. No bank run will impact you. You'll still hold those tokens. The price and the value of those tokens can be impacted by third parties. Can't escape that yet, but the actual number of tokens that you hold can be secured in your own wallet like this. And FTX bad players can't then. I mean, another thing I've just got to mention it. Another thing about the FTX thing is that there was a hack after the price had plummeted. Everyone was holding their FTX coins because they were dropped in value so much. There was a hack on everybody's wallets that must have been an inside job. So basically, everybody that had an FTX wallet had their funds siphoned off, and they all got dumped into wallets that then were moved onto another chain, which isn't moving at the moment. But there's a whole load, billions of dollars of people's FTX tokens, FTT tokens, which they'd bought, put in their own wallets, not in their own wallets, in their FTX wallets, had just been swiped out from under them. So not only are the value of the token collapsed because of the fraudulent activity in the centralized exchange, but the actual token itself, which may have retained some value, just because these things tend to, if enough people are holding them, they got stolen from their wallets. Absolutely awful ecosystem, awful situation. So yeah, in contrast to that, Cardano self-sovereign wallets are an absolute dream. I can't describe to you how fundamentally different the Cardano ecosystem is from something like FTX, Solana, Luna, Terra. All these guys, they don't hold a candle to the way that Cardano is architected. And it's my opinion. But yeah, as a developer, as someone who's been in tech all my career, as someone who's operating a node on the blockchain, that's what I can say to you. And I've looked at other chains to run stake pool offerings or Bitcoin miners, that sort of thing. Cardano ecosystem is well architected, so we're in good hands. My staking tutorial, yes, went off topic there in a bit of a rant. Sorry about that. So I'll drop the link directly to that video, because that one is the step-by-step guide. It's 30 minutes long. It really describes how to become a better custodian of your funds. So that's the thumbnail for it, if you want to find it and trust it. And I talk about how to, it's just good practice on a computer, on a modern computer, is to run a password safe. And so I go through that in detail as well. I recommend Bitwarden, which is an open source password safe. And that will help you start to store your passwords safely on a computer. That's the first step. If you can then back that up by having a hardware wallet that you're storing your wallet seed phrase in, that's even better again. I'm sorry to drop more bad news, but there's another issue that's come up recently with MetaMask. If you have a MetaMask wallet and you use an iPhone, then and you're, particularly if you've got Apple's iCloud backup running, then your seed phrase is actually going up to Apple's iCloud. And you never want your seed phrase to leave your custody. So you don't want it in iCloud, definitely 100%, because if someone manages to attack your Apple account, then they'll get hold of your seed phrase. So your seed phrase is the thing you need to keep on. This is, the sort of basic level of security, which is actually very stable, very secure, is to take your seed phrase, write it down on a piece of paper, or stamp it into a metal plate, have it somewhere on your person, or stored somewhere safe that's not going to get burnt down. That is probably one of the best ways to store a seed phrase. Don't type it into your computer password safe manager. Even don't have it anywhere on a mobile phone that could get backed up to the cloud somewhere. Keep it yourself, so that you'll only have access to it. Store it onto a normal USB stick, encrypt it, and stick that USB stick in a second house or a second property in your mum's loft. Don't tell her about it. And that can be your backup then as well. All these sorts of things, they seem like storing money under the bed, but actually it's all on chain. You're just storing the ability to access it. So this is the best banking system we've ever had. Really good. So that tutorial goes through the steps I recommend you taking as a minimum as you get into this space. And if you've got any feedback on it, I'd love your comments on there. Point out any flaws. If there's gaps that you really need to know more about, put that in the comments as well. Certainly I don't cover getting your money from the centralized exchanges into the Eternal wallet after you've installed it, which has been requested, and I should do at some point. And I can certainly point you to other videos if that's a part you're struggling with. But yeah, this is really good way of securing and saving yourself from all these traumas elsewhere in the crypto space. Self-sovereign wallet on the Cardano blockchain, storing your accruing your profits down into a secure token like or a more or less stable token like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano. They're the ones that I trust, sort of on an equal footing. This is storing in a self-sovereign wallet is where you should be storing these, and that's where you can grow your portfolio knowing it's not going to get taken away from you. So yeah, hopefully there's nothing in that tutorial that I'm unhappy with, so go through it and listen through. Cool. All right. And for that, I think we'll wrap up. Thanks everybody for taking your time to listen in, and we'll catch up again next week, and hopefully I might see you on Sunday, Utan. See if you can make it work.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
I'll give you. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
If I could find someone, I'll let you know.
Magic. All right.
Yeah. All right then.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.